Greetings, community, and welcome to Entropy Comics and another edition of this week's signed books. This week, I end up having, wow, an amazing, one adventure and two events that I end up going to, which was with the same individual. Now, prior to this, I want to really engage into this full conversation of really how the event was announced, what ended up happening. The conversations during it and everything. What I want to do is first address that, hey, look, everyone throughout the year, I want to go ahead and thank you for just participating in as an audience member. I mean, I truly appreciate the fact that you've cruised through the rewind, you've dropped in on the live. Where'd you go? Where'd you go? Where'd you go? There you are. Supported me throughout the year, engaged in conversations, both on the chat and in private. It means a lot to me. It really does. It's just to be able to share these experiences with you as opposed to, just me, means a lot to me. And I just hope that it also means something to you as an audience member to receive this information. Essentially a piece of my passion in the collections that I do, the events that I go to, and just, I guess, thank you for appreciating the fact that I get to share me with you. I am grateful. Thanks. Seriously. So, enough of that. What I want to do is go ahead and first say that over the course of all these months, I ended up going to many events, and some of which are at times overwhelming. It is an information overload when I get to either meet individuals that have the same passion that I do, that are just there to meet, artists and creators, or sometimes when I, like in the case of yesterday, go to an event and I end up seeing creators at the event, or even artists, just to drop by and say hi, not only to the individuals that are doing the actual event, but also to just patrons that are just there to say hi and just there for either the experience or the actual signing event or whatever. Tis the season, so there's a lot of packages being delivered, and that means my dog's just going nuts. So I do apologize if you hear her in the background. So as I was stating, I ended up seeing so many people yesterday, and I ended up going to two events. Both those events were with the same individual. I ended up seeing this announcement being made roughly around 3 weeks ago that Dan Slott was going to be over at the Golden Apple Comics from 11 a.m. Doors open for New Comic Book Day Wednesday until roughly around 2 p.m., where he did stay a little whiles later, not only to ensure that those in which that were in line got to have conversations and their books signed by Dan, but also for some of the books that were asked to be signed by the shop itself and the owner, and basically the facilitator of everything, So I want to thank Golden Apple and Ryan for holding the event, to allowing the event to be extended beyond his own store and reaching out to a couple other people to see if they were, wanting to have Dan as a guest. And also one of the other recipients was the Comic Bug in Manhattan Beach. So, Jag, I hope you're doing well, brother. So, as I ended up finding out that now and a later event was being held from 4 to 6 over at the Comic Bug, which was announced roughly a week after, so 2 weeks ago, I took full advantage, as I often so do, not only to go ahead and ensure in which that I try to get it, to maximize the amount of books that I could get signed, but at the same point to maximize the time in which that I was at the event with individuals that had the same passion as I do. And I did get to meet a few individuals that I've never really got to engage with in the past. However, I have been able to witness, but just never had conversation, as in the case of an individual, Ian, who I've seen at many events and who has pointed out some of the regulars. And it was also really interesting to not only fully get to do a formal meet and greet with some of these individuals, but to go over what we believe to maintain the industry, you know what I mean, to help in our own way. So I know I'm being a little long-winded and I've been talking for over 5 minutes and not even showing any books yet. But what I really want to say to all of you that, you know, whatever you can do for the shops, whatever you can do for your local communities, whatever you can do to ensure that you are maximizing your enjoyment and your passion and what's that you know collect and read and decide that you want to spend your time with as a hobbyist. I just hope that one, that you're maximizing your enjoyment of it. Two, that you have not only the same gratitude and appreciation as you first came into it, but possibly it has evolved into a new and better way, whatever that way is for you. Now, I just want to wish everybody a happy holidays, and I greatly appreciate and wish that you have been here just sitting through this long discussion already without showing you books. But I just want to ensure that you understand how much I not only appreciate you, but I hope you appreciate yourselves. Now, let's go ahead and show a few books. Afterwards, I showed one of the items that I did get signed that was not a book, which was this pop. I am not a pop person. So the fact that, you know, one, I went out and got one, and then two, I seen individuals at the first signing event getting pop signed, and I just thought it stupid of myself that one, I've never normally bought a pop before, and here I did finally buy a pop because I do like Spider Boy a lot, as you may know, those of us that know me well. But I had forgotten it at the first event. Now, the first event, as I made mention before, is in Golden Apple Comics in Los Angeles. It's located on the corner of Melrose and La Brea. That is the third location in the 3.5 plus decades that they've been there. And yeah, I've been a patron since 1987. Dan is you know, had great stories talking about that era and that time, which I will get into in a moment. So I'm ensured that I end up bringing that pop to the second event, which was in Manhattan Beach from 4 to 6. So go to regress. I end up getting all my stuff ready. I end up getting a stack. Essentially, I am getting 71 books signed. That is correct. And that one pop. That means I end up returning in line over at Golden Apple twice and returning in line over at Manhattan Beach twice to ensure that one, I wasn't taking up too much time, and two, that I can go ahead and rotate in line, get myself back together and figure out my life and also be able to obtain more stories as opposed to just sitting in one spot and just absorbing the one story in which that I was asking, which were the simple questions that I was asking. And I wanted to hear others as well. So let's get into the books as I get into the stories. This is one book that I want to make sure that I got signed. This is one of the exclusives that were out for Spider Boy when it launched. This is a Spider Boy issue number 1 by Matthew Waite. Now, I ended up buying this on eBay, and it was already pre-signed, as you see right there, by Matthew. However, I normally like to get them signed myself because I like the stories associated with the books. However, I never had that luxury, and I did want the book. So here we are with that, and I did get it signed by Dan at this one was at the Comic Bug. All right, so I got a few books signed at the Bug and a few books signed a lot at Golden Apple, but I was strategic in what I wanted to get signed. So I did purposely get around 36, 37 books signed at Golden Apple, but that was to lure Dan into over at the Bug, which I now am going to shoot forward and talk about that. The reason why is, after which, talking to him, I told him, look, I want you to see some of the art that I had done, the Rogues Gallery that I had put together on some of the blank covers. He kind of looked at me odd, and I said, yes, blank covers I know are an exclusive that was done by Jonathan Comics. And there was very few made, but I had Dan sign the back. And that's the list of the work that was done by one, hell if I know, Tony Fleeks, 2, Puzzle Man by Dustin the Wind, and 3, that is Toy Soldier. I know what it looks like but it is a miniature version of Who You Believe It Is, done by Tony Rodriguez. And Tony was so floored. Dan Slott was so floored by the work after I presented all the works, and I asked to sign the back, that he ended up taking photographs of the work. Now, this is a cover done by Mirko Andolfo, and then that's the center of Ms. Monstrosity. And then Derek Hunter did Balloon Man, and then you will see Agnes Garbasca, and she did Kingpin. No, oh, my brain's escaping. Anyways, and then finally, Andrew Robinson did Spider-Girl. And I had, you can't see it here because it is a solid backing board, but I did have Dan not only sign these, but he took a photo, and I'm sure he's going to contact. Now, I do know Mirko Andolfo, she did do a cover for issue number 15, which I'll also talk about that stuff in a minute. So these got signed, and they ended up getting signed later on in the day at Comic Bug. And then let's go ahead and get into a whole lot of books. So when I was at, oh man, and I flip-floppy too. So let's get it straight here. All right, I think it goes like that. Okay. So let's go back. As I was waiting in line to talk to some people, I had some cool conversations, and some, like as I stated before, were individuals I've seen in the past. We're all leading up to and wanting to get to, our stuff signed. And again, I'll talk about that a bit later, but it led up to some cool conversations about how Dan likes to talk. Only when he has the opportunities will he sit, and he'll literally sit with one person for, it seems like hours. Now, what was beautiful for this, which I was hoping he would be, dude, Kev, hey, appreciate you being here. Jack, again, aggressive. Yeah, Perry. And he is not here. What I would love to actually even say is, Drew, you would have loved this, because see, Dan is the type of person that you can actually talk with him about Alf forever. And I think you would have appreciated that. So again, getting back to conversations, Dan not only ended up telling a lot, but what he was also talking about was things that he wasn't supposed to talk about, such as, let's say, issue number 800 of the Collage of Amazing Spider-Man. That was a piece that was actually seen in a gallery that was just hanging, and they utilized that as a picture. But what most people don't realize is in that picture, there's a DC character, and that wasn't known until it was already printed. No, it didn't ship, but it was printed. And being that it was so difficult to see, because those wrestling masks, the DC character is wearing that wrestling mask. I know where that picture is located, and I saw it after Dan ended up showing me. But what it is it's Bruce Wayne wearing one of those. I can't remember what those wrestling masks. If you can help me out, people, put it in the chat. But he's wearing that, and it's in the lower left-hand corner of the eyeball of that collage, and it is there. It is pretty funny. It is pretty awesome, and it was one of many stories that Dan ended up telling. Now, I end up asking Dan, hey, look, how far we get to go with Spider-Boy's storyline? And he said, look, right now what I do know is I end up seeing issue number 19's cover. I said, really? He said, yeah. I said, that's pretty awesome. I go, so how much truth is there about you being signed to DC to do Superman? He said, who'd you hear that from? I said, really? Like, people are supposed to reveal all their sources. Plus, it's actually you can kind of Google it and see. I think it was November 19th that someone first broke it. But, oh yeah, it's one of my favorites. And this one is actually a real clean copy. He's like, I don't know who you heard that from, but it's actually, I think it's pretty reliable that he will be writing, I believe, a DC line. I think it's Superman, from my understanding. Now, you might be going, wait a minute, I thought he was writing for Marvel. Yes, that is true. To my understanding, and I was talking to 3 different shop owners. Yo, Rod, how you do? I hope all is well with you. And they were asking me about this too, because they were kind of confirming certain rumors. And they're like, what have you heard? I said, look, my understanding is this, is when the initial contract that was signed with Marvel and Dan Slott was to lock down Dan Slott exclusively. Well, that happened. Sorry, trust people happen. After that decade was up, yeah, I love this cover. 1 in 100 and another 1 in 100. Which recently happened, to my understanding. I believe it happens in 2025 by all rights. And I think how it works is this. In the past, he was exclusive, but now I think that exclusivity is gone. He is on lock with certain things with Marvel, but the exclusivity, I believe, has been released, meaning he can now write for other, depending on, one, I think it's probably the title, and 2, how much he's willing to pay. Now, sometimes I do know that certain contracts can be broken as long as other people pay for that contract. Meaning, if there's certain clauses saying that a person can or cannot write, if that contract is broke, sometimes it's only 10 to 20% of what the contract overall amount is. And if another person is willing to pay that contract fee, then the person could take on another contract at the same time. I've seen some pretty colorful contracts in my day. He was using some ink pens, and by the time he ended up signing a good amount of my books with these silver ink pens, these are not silver Sharpies. Yeah, he was a little wobbly. It's quite possible that you might have said a few things that he wasn't supposed to. Now, in issue 17 of Spider-Boy, yeah, I'm jumping way ahead. You end up meeting 2 characters. Those characters are twins. If you recall a movie, How to Train Your Dragon, there was a dragon that one shot sparks and the other one shot gas. And between the two, they ignited things. That is what you're going to see in issue 17 with a new set of twins, where one has the ability to ignite and the other one has the ability to shoot flammable. Now, I'm hoping it's a little more dynamic than what we see as far as just the dragon style story, that these individuals will have different forms of triggering devices and different forms of fluids and different gases, and something that they can go ahead and just go ahead at their disposal utilize. So I'm curious how that works. And as I said before, we're already into issue 19 and beyond, in which that Dan has already been guaranteed to do. And I did personally see those 2 characters, those 2 twins. What I didn't see is something they settled as far as a color palette yet. That has yet to be done. I got books everywhere. Let's continue with the Spider-Boy, and then I'll move on with the other books. I was making mention is one of the coolest introductions to Spider-Boy was the fact that Spider-Girl came out, and he released to me so much information on what's going to happen and develop with that character that I felt a little guilty knowing so much. I did not want to say stop, but I was actually almost tapping out, only for the sake that I just didn't want to ruin what I knew was going to come up. And I mean, we're talking, like, as he was saying, issues all the way up to 19. The storylines that he was telling me what was going on, I was like, we're already midway through 2025. He's like, yeah. I was shocked. I'm like, dude, the conversations that he was having with so many people and the things that he was saying, the stuff that I don't think he was supposed to say was awesome. The insight, it was just amazing. No, he had to go from one place to the other, so he didn't have that luxury. And he had the mandate after both events, which took up 5 hours of just signing time, plus because each shop wanted to get some exclusives done by themselves, but also the travel time in which the owner of Golden Apple said, "Hey, Kev, why didn't you drive him?" I said, "You never asked." He's like, "Why? Can you please offer next time?" I said, "Well, absolutely. I just don't want these people. I'm already hitting these people up to sign all my books. The last thing I want to do is have them unlock and go, all right, now since I have you captive for the next hour and a half in traffic, can you sign that short box behind you?" I can't do that. What's the reply to that was basically, you don't have to do that. You can just drive them there. That's actually a great concept. So yeah, who knows down the road what kind of I might be doing car interviews. All right, so I do have this slab, I think, signed and by Dan much long ago, issue number 4, but I never had issue number 5 done. So I ended up getting that, and then what was funny is he doesn't remember this cover, our portions of that. He's like, "Why is everyone wearing those masks?" And I was kind of looking at him like, I don't really want to bring up another conversation. He could. I'm telling you, the gab that this guy has was just insanely impressive. This was actually a pretty decent storyline. So I just didn't want to further it any longer because at one point when he wanted to show me his email, the picture of Bada Bing, I think that's what they are. I think it's one is Bada and the other one's Bing or Bada Boom. Yeah, Bada Boom, I think it is. Uh, I was taking up time and I didn't mean to. I was able to get my books, pick them up, go through, put stuff to the side, wait back in line like an hour and a half, and then get my stuff signed again. And I was having conversations. I was really trying to push it through. Um, yeah, I love this is one of my favorite covers. So, and it is true. This is it. This is the end of Superior Spider-Man. He's done writing. This is it. And they were asking him to do, certain writing where he got back in Peter's brain. He's like, I'll do everything but that. So that's why the storyline went into where he was in everyone's brain in New York. He was, it was as I end up finding out, some of Dan Slott's writing is actually inspired by angst and defiance. It's really funny when sometimes the editors or whatever will ask him for a story and he'll do the exact opposite, and they're like, perfect. So I definitely want to get some more Spider-Verse stuff. This is the last act that I got done. And I never really had issue 1 done. I never had the 1 in 25 done. Obviously the Spider-Verse issue number 2, 1 in 25. I never, second printing thing, never got done. The 1 in 25 for issue number 5. This is kind of awesome. This is the actual Spider-Man first appearance of Spider-Boy, but this is a variant cover. Same with this. Want to get those signed. I do, and I want to get a couple of the third printing signed. All my second printings, I think they're only 1 in 25s, and which is that one you saw. And that's it, all I have. And then I have a couple third printings, which you're seeing right now. And then all I have is the 2 of the originals, but I never had those signed, so I'm hoping to get the slab one day. And then I never had the issue number 8, which was the second appearance. And for me, this was essentially completing what I want to get. As you well know, as you obviously can see, if you didn't know before, that I'm a huge Spider-Boy fan. So I want to get all my Spider-Boy stuff done. I have a lot. I still even have a lot more. I didn't want to kill him with any more than I already killed him with already. So as I said before, that was 71 books. It was probably around 81 stories, and it was a one pop. And it was really cool because, like I said, I got to spend a good amount of time with people that I've seen before, and I got to spend a little bit amount of time with a few shop owners. Um, to the owner and his wife, you know who you are. My condolences. I know this time of year can be really difficult, especially when there is a death in the family. If you are watching, I am so sorry. And I appreciate all of you that watch the show, all of you that support the show. Um, Thank you to Ryan and family for even just, not only putting on the event, but giving me so much. I think one of the books in there, I may have accidentally even not even paid for. I got to go back to Golden Apple. It was a whirlwind. I swear to God. I really want to thank, again, you guys who stopped by. I hope you appreciate and liked everything that I gave you as far as stories, a couple of the books that I got signed. I appreciate you greatly. And hey, if you like, hit that like button. If you're not already and you hung out with me, you might want to consider subscribe. And that's it from me. To Kevin, Rod, Las Cruces, aggressively, dude, I appreciate you, Perry. Seriously. Jag, you the man. And anyone I may have missed, I truly appreciate you. That's it for me. Entropy. Take care.